y'all, what's going on? I'm Hawaii. Welcome to my channel. So today's video is all about self-concept. It's all about bullying. It's all about creating and cultivating self-confidence within yourself. So if you are interested, if you ever experienced bullying, if you are experiencing being bullied right now, this is going to be the video for you. Okay, so if you're interested, keep on watching. So like I stated in the intro, the topic of today's girl chat is living a life of authenticity. And what inspired today's girl chat is I came across a video that Fatima posted on TikTok, and she was like, you're never going to make an op like you. Like, you might as well live your life, do whatever it is that you want to do, because there is nothing that you can ever do to make someone who already does not like you. Like they don't like you, they're never gonna like you. No matter what you do, they're never gonna be here for it. So you might as well do what the you want to do. And watching that video kind of sparked something in me, because it really brought me back to like childhood me, like little childhood Hawaii. I was bullied from as early as I could remember. I remember about the 2nd grade, but my godmom told me that it started before that. I remember her telling me from as early as like the 1st grade, I would come home crying about just being bullied by other kids. And what people don't talk about in terms of bullying, like we always hear like the bullying like within kids and childhood, and like the importance of sticking up for children and not allowing children to be bullied and all of that in childhood. But nobody talks about the effects of being a child that was bullied and what that can do for you in adulthood, or do to you in adulthood. So I wanted to touch on that and talk about that, because I live it still to this day. Not that I still get bullied per se. I think in adulthood the bullying becomes kind of more covert. Like it's more like gang stalking in adulthood than just straight on bullying. But I definitely do still experience this in my adulthood. Granted, I also have moved back to like my hometown. I've been back in my hometown for a year. I don't experience this really in other places as I do like being in my childhood, like hometown. But the effects of it is very much still real. So I kind of want to touch on it a little bit in this video. The thing that most people don't talk about in terms of bullying and how it affects you is that it loudens everybody else's voice. The way other people view you, the things that they say about you, the things that you were made fun of, like everybody else's voice becomes extremely loud in your subconscious and in your internal, and your voice and how you view yourself become very, very quiet. What I mean by that is you start to kind of almost lose this sense of how you view yourself and how you think about yourself, right? Like before, what typically happens with children, I feel like when it comes to bullying, is that you have these things about you, this like quirkiness, or these things that are just really, really different, the things that make you whether it's like a sense of style and how you dress, or the things that you're into. Before people start to tell you that what you're into or who you are is weird or it's different, or they start making fun of you, that is like you in your natural essence, almost, so to speak. Like the things that you were into as a child, who you were, that's you. Like even as an adult, those things about yourself are you. I was always a very quiet child, a very quiet person. Like, yeah, I had friends, but I was never the girl who was very, very loud. I was always to myself. I was always pretty, like, I don't want to say shy, but I was very observant, right? Like I was always quiet and watching what everyone else did, and just to like myself and like in my own shell. And I laugh when I say shell because I'm a Cancer. So just like think of like a crab. Like I've always been like that. Like I've always been to myself. And yes, I did have friends and things like that, like I said, growing up and in childhood. But even with having friends, I always was to myself. I don't mind, and I've never minded being alone or being by myself. I've always loved to read. My head was always like, I was always in a book as a child. I have like ribbons and little like certificates and like all of this from my teachers from like first, second, third grade for reading, or being like the honor student, or like this week's student of like the week, or student of the month. Like I've always been like that. I've always enjoyed learning. I've always enjoyed reading. I've always enjoyed expanding my mind and my like thought process. Like I've always been that person, just to myself, enjoying my own company and reading. But the thing that I got bullied for the most as a child, which is kind of also on a flip side, it's kind of crazy because it was something that I couldn't control. But I have a mom who, like, my mom was a drug addict. My mom was addicted to crack cocaine. So that was what I got bullied for the most. Also, like clothes or shoes, not dressing the way everybody else was dressing, not having like the fancy shoes, the Nikes, the Jordans, or the fancy clothes, or the nice school clothes, or like those were the things that I got bullied for the most. And again, it's kind of weird because, like I said, that is like beyond my control. Like I can't control what my mom does, or who my mom is. Like I was born to her, but that's the thing that I got bullied for the most. Me being bullied like as a child, especially so early, again, like I said, it made everybody else's voice very loud in my head, and it quieted my own voice and the way that I saw myself. So everybody else's opinion, I definitely started to internalize. Like if somebody told me that I was ugly, then I thought that I was ugly. If someone was like, you know, I couldn't dress or my clothes was ugly, then I couldn't dress and my clothes were ugly. And I started to lose a sense of myself and my own voice. I stopped viewing myself from the way that I viewed me, and instead I viewed myself from how other people view me, which is what I mean when I say that their voices became a lot louder and my voice became a lot quieter. Also, like the biggest effect that I can say that bullying had on me as a kid was that it made me super hyper aware of the way other people saw me, but also just of myself in general, right? So when I walk into a room, and I'm just now getting to a place, and I will be 31 in a couple months, but I'm just now getting to a place where I can stop myself now as a grown adult. But for the longest time, I struggled with walking into a room and immediately feeling self-conscious because I'm pointing out everything that I deem wrong about myself, because I'm so used to everybody else pointing out things about me that I never asked them to point out about me. And when I say bullying, like I was someone who was bullied by, yes, like the children that I went to school with, kids that I went to school with, but I was also bullied by adults, like adult figures, like within my family. So I had a great aunt, who every single time she saw me, she did not shy away from telling me that I had gained weight and that I put on weight, that I need to back away from the table, as she would call it. Or adults like friends, parents, or they're like grandparents. I had one childhood friend in particular, and I'm not gonna say her name, but we were friends in like we met in like elementary, and we were friends up and through like high school. And her grandma did not want her being friends with me. I'm positive it's because of who my mom was, where, you know, I came from, the side of the tracks that I grew up on, and where I lived. And her grandma just did not care for me. She did not care for her to be friends with me. And I remember one time we were like playing outside, and there were like boys there, you know, boys there or whatever. And I will never forget her grandma making it like my fault, or like trying to say that I had her out there, and she started becoming friends with me, and now she's like doing things that she wouldn't normally do, only for me to find out years later that like she was like sneaking boys in her room and just doing things that I had, like, this was my best friend and I had no fucking idea that she was doing this shit. She was like very much so boy crazy. I had no fucking idea. And this whole time her family, her aunt, her grandma, like, they're looking at me like I am the problem, and she would not be doing this if it was not for me, and just making the rudest remarks about me when I come around. And it wasn't even me, like it wasn't even me. But that's what I mean, like I wasn't just bullied by children, I was bullied by grown fucking adults. I was bullied so much. And yes, I did have a big group of friends in like middle school, but it was almost this thing of like I was surrounded by a group of friends, or a group of people, but I didn't have one like best friend or like one close friend. Like, we were just all known for being around one another, but there was never any like close friendship, basically. And by the time I got to high school, I had fallen out or stopped being friends with probably every single one of these girls. So by the time I got to high school, I was in this mindset of, you know what, I am not here for friends. I don't care about friends. Like, I'm just gonna stay to myself. I was bullied a lot in like middle school. Middle school was the worst years, because again, it was always so freaking uncalled for and just random. Like, I walk in the classroom and somebody's saying something, or somebody's making a joke, or like I'm the butt of the joke, like just from walking into the classroom. And by the time I got to high school, I had experienced it so much that I almost wanted to disappear. I was always by myself. I was always just reading a book. I spent a lot of like lunchtime probably like either in the library or in what we call the mall area, and I was always just reading a book. Like, I would eat lunch. I would either eat with my cousin, who's the same age as me, or by myself. And yeah, like, people would come up to me. Mainly it was the guy, not really girls, it was always like the boys, and they would come up and they would like joke and clown and play. But then everybody would, like, you know, they all had groups of friends or friends, so they would go about their business, and I would read books. I would just be to myself all the time. And I became like that because of being bullied so much, where I didn't want to participate in anything. I didn't want to be in any clubs. I didn't want anything that I felt would draw more attention to me. I didn't want it. So I almost became a mute. I became very much even quieter than I naturally was. I didn't want any sort of attention, like none whatsoever. I wanted to stick out as less as possible. So I became a shell of myself. And then when I got to, like, I had this idea of like, you know, I am not here for friends. Like, I'm just here to get through high school. I am not gonna see these people after high school. So I'm gonna get through this, do my time. Girl, it was like I was in prison. Like, I'm gonna do my time, and then I'm gonna go about my business, and I'm gonna go to college, and I'm gonna create a whole new life, and I'm gonna meet like real friends, and yeah, that's gonna be what it is. And oddly enough, I got to college, and that's kind of what happened, because not a lot, but like the only friends that I really have still to this day are my friends that I met in college. I don't really have any friends from high school, except for the boys. Other than them, I don't have any friends or anybody that I stay in contact with from high school, because I don't really care to remember that part of my life, because it wasn't the best. By the time I got to college, what was so crazy about college is I thought that college was going to be this time where I could like reinvent myself, and I could become like a different person. And what actually ended up happening was I took those same traumas and like those same things that I experienced in high school, because I had never dealt with them, they followed me in college. So I found myself always comparing myself to other people, always feeling like I didn't deserve to be there. I wasn't as smart as everyone else that was there deserved to be there. So there was a lot of opportunities that I missed in college because of how I viewed myself. There were opportunities that I passed up on. There were people who tried to be my friend that I was an asshole to, if I'm being honest. Like I was a bitch at that time. Also because I went to a private university, like a private Ivy League HBCU, and there was a lot of like wealthier I would say wealthier than me, like kids that just had more than me. Like I'm talking I went to college in Louisiana. I'm talking came from California, and they got so much money that they able to have their cars delivered to campus because they got like money like that. Their parents got money like that. Like I'm talking about like that. Meanwhile, I'm freshman year, like I can't even afford my books. And they having cars delivered. So I was constantly comparing myself to these people. More often than not, especially in adulthood, people do not care about you as much as you think. And the reality is that even if they do, it's not for the reasons that you think. And saying that all to say is I wish that somebody would have told me that there was absolutely nothing that I could ever do to make someone who already does not like me like me. Like a person who bullies you, a person who always makes fun of you, that says more about them than it ever does about you. So why would you ever allow that to distort how you see yourself or the things that you choose to go after? That's the thing about being bullied as a child, and it warping how you view yourself, is you tend to think that the world, like eyes are always on you. And not only do you think that eyes are always on you, but you think that they're always on you for the wrong reasons. You think that, if people are watching you, that they're thinking the most negative, that they're pointing out all of these flaws that you have that are there, that they see all of this negativity about you, when the reality is that oftentimes it's actually the opposite, right? Like when people are watching you, a lot of the times they are inspired by you. A lot of the times the people who make fun of you, it's because there is something about you something about your energy, something about something that you do that they wish that they could do. There's characteristics and things about you that you embody that they themselves don't. And that's where that bullying and that making fun of things come from, right? What do you do? What do most people do when they can't understand something or they don't understand something? They make fun of what they don't understand. So we oftentimes, especially when you experience that as a child, you internalize a lot of it, not realizing and understanding that it's not personal. Like, people that make fun of you, that always have something negative to say about you, that speaks more about them and what they have going on than it ever will say about you. Like, it's more on them. It doesn't really have anything to do with you. So like Fatima said, that inspired this whole girl chat video, like, people are always going to have something to say about you, whether it's negative, whether it's positive. Like she said, bro, you could literally descend from the heavens with a halo on your head. There will be somebody who will say that halo didn't come from heaven. God didn't grant her or him that halo. That's evil. They're demonic. That's fake. Like, it does not matter what you do. You can be the nicest, sweetest person on this earth. You could be like me as a child, and all you ever do is just mind your business and do your own thing and try to stay out of your way and try to make yourself small and dim your light, and people are still going to find something to say. There's something that you're not doing enough of. You could be doing everything right. That one time you mess up, that one time you don't do something right, people are going to say something. It's just, it's life, right? It's like, to me, it's the equivalent of, you could do something for someone or help somebody a million times. I mean, a million times. Every time they need something, they come to you and you give it to them and you help them. That one time that you go to them, that they come to you and they ask you for something and you can't do it for whatever reason, you think they're gonna sit and be like, oh, well, dang, I did come to her a million and one times before, and he helped me all of these times. They just don't have it this time. No, they not gonna do that. They gonna pretend like you ain't never helped them. You never did nothing for them. You just selfish. You got it like that. You could afford to help them, but you just so selfish. All you think about is yourself. You don't care about nobody. Like, that is the story that they are going to paint. So you might as well do what the fuck you want to do. Like, do what you want to do, be what you want to be, move where you want to move, create what you want to create, live your life, because people are always going to talk. And I'm gonna finish this video off by saying that I know for those of us who have struggled with bullying, those of us who find it very hard to quiet the voice of everyone else and really listen to our own inner voice, you have to define and have a very clear self-concept. Self-concept is literally just the way that you view yourself, and if your self-concept is not strong, you are always and will always be susceptible to the opinions of other people, to how other people tell you you should be living your life, to what other people think about you and how they view you. And the only way for you to free yourself from that is to become very clear on the things that you want, to become very clear on who you are, to become very clear on what it is that you have to offer and give to this world, and work on your self-worth. Okay, you are literally worthy and capable of everything it is that you want out of this life. And I know that that can be hard to believe and difficult to believe and even harder to work towards and go after, but you literally got this. You can do this. I am not perfect at it. I struggle with it every day, every single day. But the more you get up and you tell yourself that you're worthy, that you're capable of the things that you want, the more you work on your self-concepts, how you view yourself, what you think about yourself, what you believe that you are worthy of, it makes all the difference in the world. So again, my name is Hawaya. If you found this video helpful, please like, comment, subscribe to my channel. Let me know. I would love to talk to you if you've experienced bullying, whether that was from other children, whether that was from your own parents, siblings, family members. Comment down below and let me know. Let's talk about it. All right. And as always, I will check y'all out in the next video. Bye, y'all.